Hello, this is Terry Dana Jakimiak, and I am the theater professor, and this is my first ever video cast or video blog. And one of the things that I've been thinking about as I've been developing the Theater Professor website as well as the Theater Professor podcast was, wouldn't it be nice to be able to show the followers of the Theater Professor site how I use some of the apps that I highlight on the App Spot. And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the app Wunderlist. Now, I talked about this app during the Theater Professor podcast episode 2, and I give a little bit of information on how I use it. What I want to do today, though, is show you exactly how I use it on both my computer as well as my iPhone. What I have up right now is I have the Wunderlist computer app. It's running on a PC. It looks very similar on a Mac. And over here, I am reflecting my iPhone. I'm using a program called Reflector. It's a trial mode right now. I'm checking to see if it's something that I want to continue to use. But as you can see, it's showing what is currently on my iPhone screen. Let's begin in the computer part of it. Over to the side here, you will see a variety of clickable boxes. These are the different categories that I currently have set up for my Wunderlist. Inbox is where things come initially, and then I assign them to different places. Items that are assigned to me automatically show up here, and items that have a due date this week automatically show up here. Underneath here, I have it split up in essentially two sections, my employment section versus my home section. Up top, I have my Theater Westminster, Westminster College. I go into my classes here, scene shop tasks, and then my productions. Below that, I have my podcasts. Below that, I have my shopping lists, which, as I'll talk about very soon, is probably the strongest reason to try out this app. And then under that, as we go lower, you'll see that I have some home things such as grocery shopping lists, home duties, movies to watch, things like that. Going back up to the top, when initially entering an item, you click in the Add an Item to the Inbox section. Now, you can technically move, for example, down here, this is the most recent production, which was Snakes, Butterbeans, and the Discovery of Electricity. You could move down here and put an item in. I tend to prefer to start in the inbox because I'm oftentimes putting multiple to-dos in across a variety of areas. And rather than click different areas, I can put them all in here and adjust them later. Once you've clicked the box, you put in your to-do. So, for example, I need to write a quiz this week. So, you write it out, you press enter, and it shows up on the bottom of your list here. Now, obviously, this is not where I want it to be. I want it to be in my Intro to Theater list. So I just click and hold, and I drag it to my Intro to Theater list. Notice that it disappears, but if I click on Intro to Theater, I now have it here. Also notice, let me pull it back out, put it back into the inbox. Notice next to Intro to Theater, there are no numbers here. That means I have no current to-dos in that category. And as soon as I move it over to Intro to Theater, a number 1 appears, and I have something to do in that category. All right. There are other things that you can do with these. So, going back to our Write Intro to Theater quiz, if I double-click, it brings up a box on the right-hand side. Here, I can set the due date. This needs to be done by this Wednesday. I'm not going to repeat it, though you can, and here are some of the examples. Some of the ones that I do have reminders for, if I move up into my Assigned to Me, and I double-click here, you'll see that I have a reminder set. Reminds me at 9 a.m. of each month. Going back down to my Intro to Theater. Other settings that you have is you can add subtasks very easily. You can add notes, and you can add files. You can either click on the add file as I did right here and pick a file, or you can drag a file into the add file and it'll add it. And then finally you have add comments, and you can close that window. One of the other things to notice is right here I have a little eyeball with a cross. If I click on it, it shows all the things that have already passed and have already been taken care of. Other things to notice within this window include at the bottom here, you can sort your lists alphabetically by due date or by assignee. You can print it, or either the list or a selected item. You can email it, again the list or selected item. And you can add people to the list. Okay, so you essentially are able to share it. Over here you'll see that I've already gotten people shared on my Scene Shop shopping list. Myself, Paula Ferguson, and Meredith, one of my students. Moving on, as I said, the shopping lists are probably some of the most important categories that I use. When you share this with another person, that person also gets any updates that you make to it. This is extremely important and useful. So for example, where my school is, down in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, we don't have a lot of stores here. But Paula, my technical director, when she comes into work, she's coming from Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown, Ohio actually has stores. So if I need something, oftentimes prior to using Wunderlist, I would have to call or text her and let her know, this is what I need, could you pick it up? Now all I do is I add it to my shopping list, and Paula is able to look at her list prior to leaving Youngstown and see if there's any items that she can pick up on the way. The other use I use this for is down here in props and costume. I have students that are actually in charge of both of those areas, and they don't have purchase cards. So they will put things onto those lists, and me or Paula will then purchase them. Now let's go into props and open up some of the things that have already been checked off. One of the things that you'll notice is that with this ability to add pictures, my students can add images of very specifically what they want in regards to items. Here you'll see toy car, for example, stick of butter, corn cobs, etc. These are all images, and you can see these were put on 24 days ago. My students can also write notes. For example, farms might give for free in regards to the corn cobs, butter beans, grocery, lemonade in powder made every night. So he's able to give me very specific notes in regards to what I'm purchasing. The same is true in regards to my costume shop. Pictures that explain exactly what I should be looking for as I search or purchase items. For example, here doesn't need a feather, but this style, all three have to match. It'll also show exactly who put the image here. So for example, this was something that I did, 1940s fedora hat, and so it shows, and I accidentally double clicked, which it's going to open it up for me, and I don't want it to do that, but oh well, which that picture is me down there. So I'm going to click my eye and shut those. As I said, over here on the right hand side, I've got an image of what is happening currently on my phone. The phone setup is very similar, if not the same, as the desktop and iPad versions. The major difference is because you have less real estate, you can't see everything at once. So currently I'm in my inbox. If I swipe to the right, it opens up my list. So let's jump down to that Intro to Theater. Notice that currently, even though Intro to Theater over here has an item, my cell phone does not. That's because you need to sync it. By pulling down, it is now syncing. And now it is on my iPhone as well. This is wonderful, and again, keeps me focused on specifically what I need to have finished. Because when I'm in the shop and not around my computer, I can still pull up my to-do list and go, oh my gosh, this needs to get done, or that needs to get done. Up top, in this area right here, that too will bring open the category list. I don't generally use that. I prefer to just swipe. For me, it's a little more enjoyable. On the right-hand side, you'll see an edit, and that'll open up items that have already been completed, and you can even choose to delete them. And I haven't gotten into deleting yet, so I don't want to get there yet. I'm going to click Done. Down at the bottom, you have another menu. This opens up our sorting abilities, along with our mail abilities. Oops. Oh, look at that. I'm going to delete that draft. And our adding persons ability. And I'm going to click OK, but I'm not going to add any of those members yet. Okay. So let's go back to the inbox. Moving back over here, I talked about deleting. If you delete an item, it deletes forever. So if I take this item here and I right-click and I delete selected item, it will ask me, are you sure you want to permanent delete this? I'm going to click no this time around because I actually do need to write an intro to theater quiz this week. But items that are finished, for example, so let's jump down to this one right here and open these. I don't need these anymore. So I can right-click it and delete selected item and click yes, and it's gone forever. Or I can click on the first one, hold shift, click on those three together, right-click, and delete selected items, and it'll delete all of them. One of the other things that I want to point out is the star feature, and you see it on this item right here. I'm going to go to my inbox, turn off all those that are checked. If I click on the star, it will automatically move it to the top. And it'll do that in any of the lists that you mess with. So for example, click that. And I've actually finished editing my interview with Eva Malati. So I'm going to click that. And now that's done. I tend to star important things on a day-to-day basis. So I'll look at my to-do list, see what I still have available as I begin the day, and star things that I feel are most important. It also creates a category called starred. So if you put multiple items in the starred category, for example, we'll do this one as well, it'll keep adding it to that, and it'll tell you which category it's coming from. Finally, there is a search button up here. I clicked Eva. It brings up my finished item already. Wunderlist can be used not only on PC and iPhone, but also iPad and Mac computers. If you go to www.wunderlist.com, it'll bring you to their website. Now, I'm currently logged in because the other wonderful thing about this is that it does have the ability to see it online. So if you don't have your phone or you don't have your computer and you're using someone else's computer, you can quickly look at what you have online. To go to their actual website, you have to log off. So I'm going to wait for this to come up. I'm going to click this, and I'm going to log out. And now we go to their main page. Here you see iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Windows, as I said, but also Android and Kindle Fire. So if you're running any of those, this can be used on those phones, computers, tablets, etc. Okay? I hope this helps you out. I use it for my classes. I use it for my theater-related work as well as my home life. And it keeps me a little more organized, which is really quite nice. Again, this is Terry Dana Jakimiak II, coming to you from the Theater Professor Podcast. Remember, let's keep live theater going. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave a message at the bottom of this post.